Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Henny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From walk-ons in Bruley, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro, Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. A beautiful, sun-shining and cold day here in home of the champs, man. The Bruley Panthers state basketball championship against Wassman over the weekend. So congratulations to them. We'll be telling you a little bit more about that later on in the show. We got brackets, men's and women's. LSU loses 2 out of 3 in Nashville. World Baseball Classic last night. Whew. That was some high-level baseball.
It's been great.
Yeah,
it's been great. And, I mean, you saw it. I mean, Skeens is an all-timer, man. I mean, he's already, the first 2 years he's in the damn league. He's starting pitcher in the All-Star game. And, they have found a recipe, man. They have found a recipe to try and it's not the same. It's not all-star games, but to put the best players on the planet in one arena, one stadium, the international competition. It's been now the pitchers can't go quite as long as they want to. They're I get it. There's some compromises, but it's single elimination in baseball is tough, man. But that's what adds to it as well. The players care more about it. The fans, the atmospheres are unbelievable. I mean, some areas of the country, nothing beats your team being involved in a playoff run, a postseason run in baseball. But man, give me this. I love it. I think it's a huge success. And I don't understand the people who are just don't want to embrace it. And look, everybody's got their opinion. Don't want to embrace it. Like I got Mad Dog Bruce. I love Mad Dog, but he just hates it. And who doesn't want to see? As the money gets more and more, it's more difficult to find the players who care about winning and losing more. It's just harder. And these guys, they're into it, man. They are into it. I mean, they are. I mean, that's the borderline getting tossed. I mean, on calls and stuff. It's great. It's great.
What is the biggest? I know what the answer is for me. The biggest difference between watching sports now and watching sports, I'm going to say when we were kids, but I can probably go 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago. For me, the answer is this. When I was 20 years old and I turned on a sporting event, I was about 99% sure I was going to get everything they got every time, okay? Every now and then you'd have a team quit, but I knew I was good. Everybody played in the bowl games. Everybody played in the all-star games. Everybody certainly played in regular season games. And now when I'm watching things, and I'm not talking about preseason NFL or things like that, I'm talking about regular season professional basketball games, which
that's been
a long time.
That's been a long time.
Bowl games, anything that is not the NCAA tournament in the postseason in college basketball. I gotta wonder.
Wait. What about college basketball?
The postseason, anything, the NITs or the CBIs.
Oh no. Those are secondary tournaments. Those are consolation tournaments.
In the regular season, I got to worry about whether guys are going to opt out. I got to wonder.
You got one guy.
Huh?
You got one guy.
I didn't mean just in college basketball. I'm talking about at the end of college football season.
No, college basketball. Well, I agree on the bowls. I agree on the secondary consolation tournaments in basketball, but the regular season,
the regular season's been great.
I see. I think the product is better than ever. I think the level of play is better. You're retaining some of your better players. Good college players, and who aren't going to be like top 20 picks that maybe can make some more money, or just those guys make a difference, man.
If I know these guys are giving everything they got, and you can tell I'm into
I
it.
see that in
I'm
college
into it.
regular season.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I
I
do
mean,
too for the most part.
Yeah. But
So when I look out there and I see the very best players in the world
Yes.
that are putting out
well, that's
effort.
the difference between college and pro. The levels, the guys in pro are so much better.
That was high-level baseball last night, man.
100%.
Those guys
It
are.
reminded me of Eddie Olczyk in the gold medal game in Milan on the hockey, and he comes and says, and you got to be careful because people covering that event usually hype it up more than maybe it actually is. They want to create their being there some value. It just kind of, you got to be careful. But he's like, man, you don't see this in the NHL. Now, most of the time, he's making his bread and butter. His main gig is the NHL. He says, this is just higher level stuff. It's the same thing. You go through a lineup, okay, you go for your 2 or 3 guys to teeth of the lineup. That Dominican lineup is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, man. I mean, it was very, very high level stuff, and they're competing. I mean, obviously, the advantage the Americans had is Severino's the best you got to start. I mean, we got Skeens, y'all got Severino, but that lineup might be better than the American lineup.
For Skeens to get that kind of start for them was huge, and there's no breaks in that lineup. It is as hard a lineup as you can get.
Man, they battled him, bro,
and
it was fun.
The stadium was slanted in the direction of the Dominican Republic.
A lot of Americans there too.
It was a full house.
Yes,
and I thought that what I could see on TV and here, the Dominicans had an edge in the stands.
Oh no, they're louder people to begin with too.
the emotion of all that, and for Skeens to keep all of that,
and it's also
under control.
The culture lets you know the style of play is so different. I mean, sorry, but the Asian teams are, they are so fundamentally sound, but a little bit rigid, in their emotion. In the Caribbean and Latin America, I mean, they're full of emotion in style. And I mean, my man with Venezuela when he hit the home run. I mean, that's the bat toss of all bat. I mean, but it's all part of it, man. And the Americans are kind of in between, but the Americans are kind of, I don't know. So listen, with the added money, we can't go back. We can't blame these guys that all of a sudden money has changed their. With the structures of the league, you're giving guys guaranteed money no matter what they do. I mean, I couldn't believe that with the Hornets' first game to New Orleans. I'm like, big homie he could give a crap less about getting off that bench. Well, he's getting paid. So wait a minute, he's not 100% guaranteed. What do we talk about all the time? Well, what's the guarantee of this NFL deal? Well, that's 100% in that league. So It lends itself to guys kind of not playing through a little pain.
And for Skeens, we watched him in college. He pitched at the highest level. He's the best college pitcher I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And he did it when it mattered the most. I mean, when LSU's biggest games, that game against Wake Forest, the Tommy White game, man, he was out there against Rhett Lauder. He stepped up. The All-Star games, I understand they're exhibitions, but when he stood up there and faced the top of the American League lineup and now in the World Baseball Classic, and it just stinks that it may be 4 more years before we see this guy in a postseason Major League Baseball game.
Well, this is what we have right now.
No, this is what we got. I would love to be able to see him pitch in his prime in the Major League Baseball postseason, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen while he's with the Pirates. I know they got some, exciting young prospects, including Connor Griffin, but I don't know if we're going to see him pitch in a Pirates uniform in the postseason. So you're right.
They have a sneaky little chance this year.
I hope so.
They, they got the prospects. Their rotation is considered to be one of the starting rotation, one of the best. Bednar, his teammate, was the biggest pitcher on the mound last night.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the biggest threat, and he got out of it. I mean, he was, tough. I mean, but when they went off to a good start last year, and he struggled and hit a little bit of a wall, they were booing him. Like Pittsburgh, man, y'all got to hold on to the same guy. He's an all-star. I mean, y'all better relax. But we have this. We saw him in Omaha, and to get LSU into that final, that 2-0 game was against Souter and Wake Forest was unbelievable. But they got a sneaky little chance. They picked up O'Hearn, three veteran kind of almost like San Francisco type of pickups to kind of steady some weaknesses as opposed to stars that are just going to carry your team. So they got a little sneaky chance in the Central this year. But, this is what we have. The thing I can't remember. So all the teams have, we talk about these lineups and these, and I failed to mention, Judge's assist. Okay, on the fly.
That's 2 assists.
Bobby Witt,
2 key assists.
Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah,
he's got a highlight play. He's got a highlight play every game. I mean, that's high level stuff, man. And guess what? The Dominicans, as loosey goosey and as free and as fun, they got tight. You got to send that guy. What are you doing? That's a ball into the gap, a long single, and you don't send him from second. Well, he ended up there. So But
rough strike 3 call at the end. Unfortunately,
no, he missed.
He missed it. He missed the call.
He missed, but
it's a ball.
Tatis 2 on and 2 out would have been. That's a guy that's kind of. Sometimes we wonder if he's all. Machado is a guy. Man, these guys are all just for those guys to be participating shows you their level of interest. And so I think with a basketball, just do it straight. U.S. versus the world. That's it. Put some money on the line. You see how they play a little harder, huh? Is the Knicks celebration still over from the in-season tournament? Is it over yet?
They hung a banner.
I just think it's in baseball, and it's not the perfect format for the World Series. I don't want that. I don't want just one game. Could be flukish for you to lose a series. But for this, and it's compact, and it adds to, everything counts a little bit more instead of the 162-game schedule, which can get a little bit, tedious.
It's got me in baseball mode a lot sooner.
It's awesome,
man.
A bit of news for tonight's semifinal. Aaron Nola, they're switching up the order. Nola's going to go tonight in the semifinal against Venezuela. Lorenzen kind of went after him, but they're going to switch it up. So Nola gets the start tonight.
Yeah, Lorenzen started ahead of him in the rotation in the pool play.
So they're going to switch it up.
But he pitched better than Lorenzen.
Lorenzen could be available as well tonight, or maybe they'll save him for the final. We'll see.
Who else? And that's why I was asking about the odds for the MVP. Skeens is 80-1. Well, he's the difference. I mean, everybody's got guys in the lineup that put up numbers, but who's pitched like him?
Nobody, I don't think.
Against good teams.
I'm paying attention to. No.
So, I don't know. Maybe 80-1 to win. I guess your limited innings is going to result. All right, Max. Bruley was hopping over here. Ryder, man, our guy over here sent me some video. Bruley watching the state championship. This place they had it on all the TVs and had it ready to go.
Yeah, I was here for the semifinals on Tuesday. It was packed for that, but Friday was electric. They had a couple TVs still in the LSU baseball game, so you could monitor that, but everyone was fully attentive to the basketball final against Wassman. It was very exciting in here. It was loud. So many people I knew, and I was standing at the bar for half the game. So it was basically standing room only in here. This was the place to be if you weren't in Lake Charles. So really exciting stuff, and they took care of everybody. But it was an awesome experience here in Bruley if you couldn't make it.
There you go. So a bunch of different walk-ons, but a little bit of that sort of neighborhood feel to it, and they've got that with the, the mural, the picture, the photograph mural of all some of the greater athletes to come through the west side over here. And don't worry about this little cold spell tonight and tomorrow night, but, man, you come the March Madness on Thursday and Friday, hunker down. We'll have every single game, all 67 games on TV over here at we'll be able to pull up these garage-style doors and enjoy the kind of indoor-outdoor springtime weather that'll be back after a couple of chilly days. So they're going to get this out the way and then get it straight for March Madness later in the week.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show's available on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. New Handycast on LSU baseball drops this afternoon. It's brought to you by Supreme Rice. their 90th year, their 90th anniversary here in 2026, celebrating that milestone. Go to supremerice.com. The field is set for the NCAA tournament. Miami of Ohio gets in. Auburn, Oklahoma, Indiana, San Diego State among the last teams out. The 4 number 1 seeds projected going into tournament week. Duke won their conference tournament. Arizona won their conference tournament. Florida did not, and Michigan did not. Florida losing in the semifinals and Michigan in the finals, but all 4 very safely number 1 seeds. Was it just me yesterday trying to squeeze the win out of Nashville, watching that intensely, or was there less angst about this bracket than a lot of years?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, this is, that was what I got from most of it. Like, this is fine.
I mean, there was no result that was going to take Duke out the number 1. There was no result that was going to take Michigan out of number 2. There was no result that was going to take Arizona out of 3. There's no result that was going to take – they said a little bit. Could have got tricky if UConn had beat St. John's. But did they not put UConn in Florida's bracket?
Yeah, and it didn't seem to do St. John's a whole lot of good. They stayed on the 5 line despite what they did.
Well, that's what they haven't overreacted to the teams making a run. They just haven't done that. And they said it. They were like they were very transparent. They removed the last 10. From
UConn's in Duke's bracket. Excuse me.
Okay. Okay.
Florida got Houston, which they may have to play in Houston in the regional finals.
Well, they will if they go to Final Four. They're going to Houston.
Yeah.
So, I guess they just did regionality there because I thought that with UConn and Florida be so close, they would put them together. So.
Not of the bubble teams where some years you get this team. I can't make a really strong case. Oklahoma got on a run late. Okay, Indiana and San Diego State just didn't have a whole bunch of Q1 wins. I'm going to ask you this about Auburn. We love when teams schedule up. Okay, those are the games we want to see. Those are the those are the things on the resume that really matter to us. They matter a heck of a lot more than the bye games, the rent-a-win games, whatever you want to call them. But if you're Auburn and you look at this and you say, okay, we played Michigan and Arizona and Houston and Purdue and lost all 4. Played St. John's 2 and won that. If they only play 2 of those games and they substitute for Houston and Purdue, Chattanooga and Wofford, okay? And they win both of those games. And instead of 17 and 16 and a top 5 strength of schedule, they're 19 and 14 with a strength of schedule that is top 25. They're in a tournament, right?
What's their NET?
51, I think it was, ended up.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, 38. Their RPI was 51. Net 38. I mean, you substitute. The biggest knock on Auburn was 16 losses, right?
Yeah, there's never been a team that's gotten at large with that many losses.
So you've had your opportunities, and they had now. I don't know how much they figured this in. They played 12 games in the league that were Q1 because they played Arkansas twice, they played Tennessee twice, they played Alabama twice. They can't control that, but Bruce bite off a little more than he could chew with this, and I know he didn't coach the team.
Yeah, and
I mean, I'm all for scheduling hard, but maybe throttle it back just a little.
Well,
bit.
I think if Bruce Pearl was on the bench, he would have been. There was a big enough dip to where it was close that he would have been a difference to get them in, but he knew he did not have the roster that he's had the past few years. Pettiford was the only one returning. They didn't have as much firepower. He loves to schedule tough, but, I mean, Ole Miss getting hot did some damage. They did some damage, and you cannot lose to a team that's finishing 14th in the league at home when you're on the bubble. Like, that's not a Q1 opponent. You can't lose to them at home. So Ole Miss heading into the conference tournament lost 10 of 11, and that was the one they won. And look, to Oklahoma, man, you can't lose 9 in a row. I mean,
they
9 in a row.
They dug a big enough
tough
hole.
luck, as bad luck as it is, and I mean, did they look? But I mean, well, Ole Miss isn't close to at large. Did they look like a worthy team? I mean, a tournament worthy team or a tournament level team in Nashville?
In
Absolutely,
Nashville they did, but
yes.
on paper that's a Q3 loss for Auburn.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they got a little bit hot at the very end, and I mean they did some damage, man.
Porter Moser saved his job. They didn't get in the tournament, but he saved his job. Yeah, they came out and said he will be back next year.
Okay.
Yeah, you're seeing and I don't know if it was economics based at Oklahoma or it was based on this run at the end.
This
Maybe
run,
a little bit of
run
both.
helped a lot.
Sure,
This run helped a lot.
But they're not the only team.
To me, they had the worst luck out of anybody. Those 4 games. I mean, just flip one of them and you're in. You flip even before this run in Nashville. You flip 2 of them, you're in. I mean, just give me half of these. These brutal losses. So, but they. That was just a weird deal, huh? With the Ole Miss and Oklahoma, they played great.
They did.
They gave Arkansas all they could handle. Ole Miss got it back into overtime.
This was a damn entertaining tournament, and it's not always. Sometimes the chalk. There have been years where Kentucky's going in there and blowing the doors off. But between the Ole Miss run, the Oklahoma run, and Vandy just browbeating Florida on Saturday, the home team here. This was a really entertaining. And an A-Cuff yesterday
because these seedings were set. Okay, there was. The Big Four, they were subject to, just kind of being less than disinterested is the word I'm losing for. Well, 2-1, but it wasn't easy. Virginia, Duke was lucky to beat Florida State. Florida State has a clean look to win that one, and Virginia gave them all they could handle in the final. Arizona went toe-to-toe with Iowa State and Houston.
Yeah, back-to-back days.
Yeah. A buzzer beater against Iowa State, and it's tied with about 5 minutes to go in the final against Houston, although they led for most of that game. And then the other 2 were beaten, Michigan in the final and Florida in the semifinal. So, one hit for about 10-1 in Arkansas. I didn't have Purdue because Purdue was on their side. I'm sorry, they weren't on that side. They started playing good. You want to talk about flip a switch. Purdue was 6-7 in their last 13. And all of a sudden, against Northwestern's got like 20 points. Oh, wait, where's this defense come from?
Did they cover every game in this tournament?
Yes.
Because he was 1-15?
No, they did not cover against UCLA.
Okay.
It pushed some places, but lost most of them.
Because that was the number was 1-15 Painter against the spread. So he
went 3-1.
Yeah, so turn that around. The other guy I would tell you that probably did the most good for himself was A-Cuff, and we love this kid. We've been watching him all year. We've been kind of singing his praises all year. But yesterday, or was it Saturday's game, running together on me, the announcer said something that I haven't heard yet. They were like, you know what? He is looked at as a lottery pick in the top 5. You really ought to take a hard look at taking him number 1. And I hadn't heard that before. And the announcer made a good point, and I don't remember who it was. I was kind of half paying attention. But he says, the knock on not taking him number 1 versus the other guys is he's only 6'2". Okay. They said, wait a minute. Donovan Mitchell's 6'2". Jalen Brunson's 6'2".
But they said 6'2". I saw him listed as 6'3".
He's listed as 6'3", but they said 6'2" on the broadcast. So, and generally they embellish a little bit. So let's say he's 6'2.5". There are some big time scorers in the NBA that are that size, and doesn't he look like he can score through contact? Doesn't he look like physical play is not going to
a lot of Derrick Rose to him, man. A lot of Derrick Rose, and he's just a Derrick Rose that could shoot better. His shooting numbers in his 1 year at Arkansas, his assist numbers, his turnovers are fewer. His numbers across the board are better from a guy who was the MVP. And he's
double-digit assists yesterday.
Well, he's the first I said that he's got higher assist numbers than Rose. So he not only creates for himself, but he creates for his teammates. He loves passing the ball, and I mean he throws up these these timeline type of alley oops all the time. They're right on the money. I mean, now we talked about when you shoot over 50% from three. They shot over 60% from three yesterday.
Yeah.
So Vanderbilt, that was, they just had part of it, maybe perimeter defense, and part of it, Arkansas is just hot. And that's why I've always thought that was a team after Florida that was capable of making a run. He's a guy that can carry you. And we've seen in this tournament where some guys lift it, everybody wants to point to the most famous was Danny Manning. And whatever seed they were, 8 or 9, and they go all the way to win the whole thing. He's that kind of guy. He's that kind of player because he's doing it both. You need a buck. The shot clock's on 2. Oh no, you usually inbound. No, Calipari's switching. Boom, catch and shoot. Bucket. And just those kind of plays all the time. He's very versatile. He reads the court, and when you have a scorer who includes his teammates as much as he has, we haven't seen it because we've never seen in the SEC where a guy is led in scoring and assists. He's special, man.
His true shooting percentage indicates that he should be able to be a big-time scorer at the next level because he's shooting 45% from three and 81% from the line. That will tell you that this is not
just
a
better shooter than Rose.
Yeah, this is not just a guy that's getting his buckets, getting his points against inferior defenders or maybe bullying some guys or something. No. He is shooting the basketball at a very, very high level.
That's it.
I'm a fan.
I am too,
I'm
man.
A fan.
I am too. And rightfully so. He did get the SEC Player of the Year. There's a lot of competition. Don't forget our friends over at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060, full-service title company, servicing all of South Louisiana. Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Marion Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody choose but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
All right, Troy, we got the field set right now from the committee and the job that they did, or just the way things are placed, or maybe some results over the weekend. What's your biggest takeaways from this past weekend of college hoops?
Yeah, I don't think there's much to argue about in the way of snubs. I don't think any of the teams that missed were snubbed, so to speak. I do think there's some, little things here or there. Vanderbilt as a 5 seed seems a bit high. They should have been a 4. Metrically, they're better than most of the 4 seeds. It really all comes down to what the committee thinks of conference tournament, and it seems to vary. I think Duke got a really tough region. They're very thin. Now, granted, they're the best player in the country, and they've performed very, very well, but they're entering the tournament with injuries, and that's before you consider injuries could crop up. I certainly don't think they're going to lose to Siena, but I also don't think Siena is a 16 seed. They're metrically more of a 15 seed. They're a very, very good team that I don't think anyone watched. So those are, kind of my takeaways. I don't see a lot of deep runs from double-digit seeds, but I do think we could see 1 or 2 upsets, on the 12, 13, 14 seed line.
Certainly the trend last year, and with the mid majors being weakened. I mean, think about it. Miami, Ohio is the first team ever to go undefeated in that conference, and they were one of the last teams to get in. They're playing in the play-in. So I mean, it's just the mid majors, and then, we're talking about Cinderella. As she did in this tournament, which has been so fun last year. 0, 13 to 16 seeds won. The 10 years prior to last year's tournament, this is 2015 to 2024, the underdogs have covered 52.8% of the time. We're talking about the first 2 days, first and second round, 149, 133, and 3. A little bit over 50%, but, it's right about 53%. Last year, the favorites went 19-10. I'm not including the Baylor Mississippi State game that went back and forth as each team shared being the favorite, and I'm not counting the 11 seed games coming from the play-in. The ones that were scheduled, 19-10, so 29 of those 32 teams. That is a drastic flip. Now we all say is that we see your top the mid majors, the top 3 or 4 players. They're gone, as they, go to the bigger programs. Are we going to see the lines increase that much in these first-round games? Last year, where there were 14 double-digit lines in the first round. This year, we got 16, so we got 2 more. And I'm also doing the math right now on the margin of victory. It looks like last year, right around 20-point favorites was the average of those 14 double-digit lines. We'll look at them and see what they are for 16. But your thoughts on this trend, which is obviously which everybody's talking about in roster building in this non-salary cap league?
Yeah, and I agree, but I also disagree with, it's a one-year trend. Yeah, certainly the transfer portal and transferring has existed for a while. Certainly it's ramped up with NIL, and we're really at an AAU kind of level of changing teams. But, I think every tournament is a different beast. I do think there are some trends that will carry over, especially with the large lines. But I think some of them are a bit too large, in my opinion. I think, in the Big Ten, specifically, Penn, who's metrically not great, but, Penn, Illinois is 24.5-point favorite. Illinois has not been playing some of their best basketball. They peaked, a month ago. They're still amazing, but they're also taking on Fran McCaffrey, who's very familiar. 24.5 for a team that plays at a very slow pace, seems like a lot. Purdue versus Queens, 25.5. Queens was not the best team in their conference. Purdue obviously had an amazing run at the Big Ten tournament, but they have not covered well in the non-conference. They were 3 or 4 points higher in most of their first 5 or 6 games this year. And they've slipped up in the tournament recently. Certainly that had more to do, I think, with roster building at the time, where Matt Painter had massive teams. His team is not nearly as big and front court heavy with 7-footers coming off the bench in past years where you could really isolate the guards and beat them just with small ball. But I still think 25.5 is a lot. I think there will be upsets. I don't think there's going to be lots. But I think, in January, one of the reasons the bubble was so weak is because the big teams, the best teams weren't losing. And if they were losing to the other best teams. That kind of fell off in February, especially late February. We saw a lot of, mismatched underdogs win outright in conference games. So I think that might carry over a little bit to, teams are a little bit more susceptible to catching L's, where, the good teams were really playing excellent. I think there were so many good games. I think a lot of teams are running on empty. So very interested to see how that plays out with, a week off and teams actually getting to practice. One thing coaches mentioned, it's definitely we could talk about, but from like January to March, the amount of real basketball practices you have where you're actually coaching, teaching, training, doing skill development is few and far between. A lot of it is reps and game planning. So hopefully some teams can get back in the lab and, work on their skills and come into these games sharper than they have been in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
So, yes, we may see some inflated lines than what we're used to seeing. What I'm interested in is seeing the betting public in how much are they going to shift, because from the first weekend to the second weekend, you saw them shift in tournament last year. They started betting the favorites, and the house went from, profiting a big bit on the first 2 days to giving a lot back, a big chunk back on the next 2 days. There was only one double-digit seed to advance to the second weekend of the tournament last year. That was number 10 seed, Arkansas, the Razorbacks, who beat St. John's. Now, Colorado State was a shot away, a buzzer beater away from Derek Queen from a 12 seed advancing past Maryland to the second weekend. But, we doing our shows at different sports books, Troy, they said, well, no, this is the one weekend of a couple of days where it's been Petty Paul was going to bet the dogs. They want to cheer for the dogs. That's what has made this first couple of days. I mean, this team you've never heard of, with this guy you've never heard of, and they're going to pull off the upsets. But I'm wondering if it's going to be this year after. It's 1 year span, but they certainly shifted in mid-tournament last year. What the betting public's going to do this week, this Thursday and Friday. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be on a lot of 5 seeds and up, heading towards the double digits. Right now it's certainly early. This is instant reaction betting, but of the 5 most popular first-round plays by tickets, this isn't money, but by tickets, all 5 are 12 or 13 seeds. So right now, the most tickets we've taken, Akron money line against Texas Tech. Second most, number 12 seed, High Point against Wisconsin. We got 12 seed McNeese State, 13 seed Hawaii, 13 seed Troy. Those are the top 5 most popular plays by tickets. Now, we've taken big early money on, Wisconsin money line, Utah State spread, but that's, the 9-8 game. But early on, people are still betting that they want them 12 and 13 seeds to advance, and I totally get it why. The problem is it happens every year. Some of my favorite teams end up being 12, 13 seeds, and they end up playing some of my favorite high major teams who are 4 or 5 seeds. I really like Hawaii, but I do not love their matchup against Arkansas. I really like High Point. I do not like the matchup against Wisconsin. Akron, I really like Akron, and I know people are going to be fading Texas Tech because they don't have Toppin. Still really, really good. That team, even without Toppin, is one of the best wins of the season. And the matchup is very tricky. So people are going to bet the 12 and 13 this year.
Okay.
I know that. Go ahead.
Troy, run that list. I caught Troy. Run that list again. Who they were on early again?
And this is money line, but these are all plays by tickets. Most popular 5 are number 12 Akron money line, number 12 High Point money line, number 12 McNeese State money line, number 13 Hawaii money line, and number 13 Troy money line.
That is completely different from what we see in the normal course of the season, in the regular season, and football as well. Because even more so, the spreads. I was thinking for them to be taking the 5 big dogs in the money line, that tells you, okay, the betting public's still embracing Cinderella right now. So we'll see. What did we see? Arkansas, Purdue. What did we see that St. John's that may stick and carry over? The Kemba Walker effect, I guess. That's going to carry over to the tournament.
Yeah, so I think the one, and I just mentioned Purdue, but Purdue had not been covering at all. They honestly entered the Big Ten tournament. I think they lost 3 of their last 6. Braden Smith had not been scoring. He was a prolific scorer, but in the last week of the season and in the Big Ten tournament, he changed his game so much in terms of he wasn't scoring, but he was still shooting. And he could still be a playmaker with the ball. He obviously set the record for assists with 16. And so he started reducing how much he was shooting. He went from, taking 13 shots a game to taking 5 shots a game. And that was opening up other opportunities for players to stay hot. And he's still such a threat. We saw him in the championship game still being able to get to the basket, still creating shots. But he was more about opening his team up. And I think that development and him being now more of a playmaking distributor as opposed to a option 1, option 2, and option 3, it lends Purdue to be far more successful. I think that's a team that could piggyback off what they did and go far. I do think there's going to be a team that was very impressive in their conference tournament that falls short in the first round. I think if Arkansas can survive Hawaii, who plays a weird defense, I think they make a deep run. But I don't know if they survive Hawaii. I think St. John's, they had a bad taste in their mouth from last year, and they looked excellent in the Big East tournament. Guard play is going to be super important, and their best player is the front court player. So if I had to pick a team that was hot in the tournament, conference tournaments that could make a deep run, I think you start with Purdue, even though I don't love how many points they're favored by in the first round.
Yeah, last year we had 3 1-2 regional finals and a 1-3. So from start to finish, chalk would certainly hell. Yeah, Purdue, Troy, they were 18-1, and then 6 of 7, their last 13 heading into the conference tournament. So there you go. Follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's MACHIR. Troy, we'll talk to you on Friday. We're right in the middle of the first 2 rounds, man. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right. Don't forget our friends Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime. 343-1111. How about a consensus picks? Wes Reynolds with a Cam Young, huh? The 40-something to 1.
I was pleased. I was very pleased.
I was
17.
Max Fitzpatrick was 2 holes away.
He was leading through 70 holes. I thought I finally had one, but it was Wes who beat me out.
Yes, and after Cam Young hit that putt on 17, put the pressure on Fitzpatrick's tee driver on 18, and, well, we know where it went, a little pine straw action. So, yeah, don't forget Dana Brown brings us our golf consensus picks. Good to get our first outright winner of the season this past week. It's every Wednesday at 12:30. If you get in an accident, you got to call our friends Dana Brown, 343-1111. There's never a charge for initial consultation, and it's always a pain if you get in a wreck and all of this stuff, but he is going to make it as pain-free, as stress-free as possible. Absorb some of that blow when you get hit in an automobile accident. 343-1111, NOCBrown.com.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Big news out of Tuscaloosa as we get in the NCAA tournament week. Alabama star Aiden Holloway arrested this morning on felony drug charges 4 days before Alabama opens the tournament. Charged with first-degree possession of marijuana. They found a pound of marijuana, paraphernalia, and cash. He is the possession charge carries a penalty of up to 10 years in jail and a fine of $15,000. His bond was set at $5,000. It's unclear whether he is still being held or not right now. He is Alabama's second leading scorer, just under 17 points a game. He had 18 in Ole Miss's opening in their loss to Ole Miss in their opening game of the SEC tournament. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that's a very big deal. Very big deal.
If he's not going to play.
I mean, you just go around town in some of these non-legal marijuana states, you still got strong scent a lot of places. But when you got that much and that much cash on you, well, that's a different story.
Yeah. We've seen Alabama basketball players get in trouble with the law and still play.
Oh, well, he ain't Brandon Miller.
No.
But he is the second lead scorer.
Yeah, he's not unimportant to what they do.
No, he's very important to what they do. They were, who was it, the 4-5 matchup? They're 4, and it's, I want to say Texas Tech.
It is.
Right? Yeah,
it is.
In Texas Tech, we got to see how they're going to handle, without Toppin. Although, they kind of got one of those weaker.
They had about 6 games without him, 6 or 7 games without him.
Miller.
Since Toppin went out to Texas Tech.
3 and 3.
3 and 3, so 6.
3 and 3. Yes, won the first 3. They've lost 3 in a row heading into the NCAA tournament.
Alabama's a 12.5-point favorite over Hofstra. That's a mid-afternoon game on Friday afternoon. Hofstra was 24-10.
And Texas Tech plays, is it High Point?
Akron.
Akron, yeah.
Akron. Now, Wisconsin plays High Point.
So the Akron-Toledo game?
Say that again?
Akron-Toledo was unbelievable. Toledo had them.
I didn't
see had them. Oh, yeah. Because Akron thought they could exhale because Miami was out, but no. But Toledo gave them all they could handle.
We're here at the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Come by and see us live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Walk-Ons in Bruley, and this place was popping this past weekend for the championship game between Bruley and Wassman, and 45-38 final score. So rugged pace in the last game. Max, you were here for the semis and the finals, right?
Semis and the finals. The finals, like I said, I was standing at the bar for half the game because it was so packed in here. It was standing room only type stuff in there, and it was electric. If you couldn't make it to Lake Charles, I know there was a big contingent there. But
so we bring on the coach, the hero, who's brought teams 4 times in the last 7 years to Lake Charles for the semifinals, for the Final Four there, and 3 straight years, Coach. And so, first thing, man, congratulations, man, getting that first championship.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. We've been building this for a while now. This is my 11th year at Bruley, and my son, when he was in the 4th grade, we decided we needed to. Our program wasn't in a great state. We started with my son was a 4th grader all the way through the current seniors was 2nd graders, and we started skill developing with those kids 3 days a week. We couldn't find elementary games, so we joined the Catholic School League in Baton Rouge with St. George and St. Aloysius, Holy Family. We started playing with that group, and these are the 3 groups that have been there 3 years in a row.
Coach Kirby Lupa with us right now again after the. So let's start with Wasserman because I did a bunch of play-by-play. It's been years now, but Wasserman was always in the mix. Always in the mix. So to kind of knock off that champion, and you had a little bit of a revenge element of your motivation as well because they knocked you guys out last year.
Yeah, they beat us in the game last year. I thought we were the better team, and we dominated the game. I mean, we were in control of the game, and they finished at the end. And they have a championship DNA. They've been there 11 years in a row now.
11 in a row. Wow.
Casey Jones does a great job, and they don't rebuild, they reload, right? And so. But it was personal for our guys. It was personal, and we in the semis we played Northwest, who beat us by 2 earlier this year. So there was a personal factor in the semis, and as well in the finals. And look, just super proud of our guys. Super proud.
So semis, you got revenge for this season, and let's go back to that. Lost by 2 at their place.
Yes.
Well, so that had to be a hell of a game.
It was, and. That game played out a lot like the semis did. We got out to an early lead. I think we were up 13. They had a monster second quarter, and then the game was tight down the stretch. They win by 2. In the semis, we jump out to 35 to 6 point lead. I mean, we played exceptionally well, and we talked about our advantages. We played that 3 years in a row. We've studied this quite a bit. I always bring the team up a day early. We watch a lot of games. The scoring is usually really low in that building. And for whatever reason, the LHSA doesn't allow you, and I know it's logistics, but they don't allow us to shoot around in Burton Coliseum
because they have
anymore.
so many teams. They
so
just
many
can't
teams
accommodate
because
they're playing as well.
Look, we go shoot at LSU and we shoot at Southern, but at Burton Coliseum there's a huge opening behind both backboards, and you can't simulate it.
Right.
And so we've watched this game after game, and when we were watching Monday, we watching teams that have scored in the 70s and 80s all year in 30s and 40s. And we know that in the last 2 years, we were 3 of 25 from the three-point line in a combined 2 years. So we talked about our advantage was going to be you've played in there. They haven't. They're going to play this game like they're in our gym or their gym. We need to start around the rim, let them shoot jumpers. And we got out to a big lead, and they figured that out, in the second quarter.
Start attacking the rim more.
Attacking, getting to the line, and our big got in foul trouble.
So how close did they get?
They got to 4. They cut it to 4 at about the 5-minute mark.
Well, that took about 20 years off your life. Huh?
It did.
35 to 6 to down. Wait, we up 27.
And then from that point,
29 to 4.
We ended up on an 18-2 run to close it, and we won by 16.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, super proud of the kids. That's a game we probably would have let slip away in the past.
Tell us who was some of your stars on the team.
So Ben Radford was I guess I could say it now. You wait to the end, but Ben Radford was the offensive MVP of our district.
Okay.
He was the defensive MVP of our district.
Oh, really?
And the overall MVP of the district. Ben Radford couldn't even get on the court as a sophomore. He has grown so much as a person, as a player. He's always been a great kid, great family. Ben Radford is the younger brother of Tyrese Radford, who played at McKinley and started 3 years as Texas A&M's point guard. Ben's he's a solid kid, but man, he's developed so much, his skill level, and he is a rim protector, but he does, we call him a cheat code. He protects the rim, but he's also extremely good ball handler. So, Senior, okay. Yes sir. So our advantage on Wasserman was their guard play is really good defensively. We just let Ben handle the ball the whole time.
So this, and we see this some senioritis when you come down to run in, being so close in previous years and this build up to this opportunity. And look, when you win 45-38, you're protecting the rim. You had 7 blocks. In the final.
17 points, 17 rebounds.
17 and 17.
17
and 7 blocks.
7 blocks. That's following up a 21 rebound game in the semis.
Wow.
Reminded me a little bit of Derek Queen at Maryland.
Man, he was incredible. And Micah Bryant is the most electric shooter I've seen at the high school level. And I've seen a lot of players. Micah's a career. He almost got to 2,000 points. He's a 4-year starter for us. Micah's a career 43% three-point shooter, and this is 600-plus attempts.
Wow.
He's elite shooter. And he's had 2 really bad nights to his standards the past 2 years. And we talked about him getting to the line early in the semis, and then he just got blistering hot. I mean, he was 4 of 7 from the three-point line in the semis. And then in the finals, he was shooting it early, in I don't know if it was nerves or whatever. He came to the bench in the second quarter, and he said, and the score at halftime in Wasson was 18-18, so it was a defensive game.
Right.
And we talked about the way that they score is turning you over, but then long threes that turn into quick transition buckets for them. So he came in the second quarter and he said, God, I just can't get anything to fall. And I told him, bro, just keep shooting. This is it, right? This is the last game of your career. Keep shooting. And he's 18 and a half. He started off the second half on a 7-0 run by himself. Put us in a 7-point lead.
It's so funny how, as a coach, as players, when you get close and you're trying to get over that hump, the mental part of it is real. And then you got to close it out against a team that beats you during the regular season and a team that's there every year. Yep. And Wassman 11 years. And it sounds like your roster had a little bit more firepower than Wassman traditionally, but they're going to find a way to be competitive.
They're going to find a way. And it's what they do. Wassman is known for their pressure defense, right, and their toughness. And I really think, and they said that I ended up watching the TV version of the game last night with my wife at home, and the announcer said that in the fourth quarter, which was heartwarming to me. He said, I think Bruley's beating Wassman at their own game. They're out toughing them, and that's our DNA as well. We're a tough basketball team.
Max, when's Coach Kirby's boat parade like the American Idol guy, huh?
Yeah, yeah, like John Foster. Yeah, we got to get that. We got to get that going down Marley back in
there you go.
Back in the Intercoastal. Yeah. So one of the things we're going to see a lot of March Madness, coming up, and later in the brackets, you see a lot of the same teams kind of meet up with that familiarity. You talked about meeting Wassman and whatnot. What are some of the positives that can come with that? A good factor of meeting the same team, and what are the challenges of going up against a team that obviously had beaten you before?
Yeah, and so we've been talking for 4 years now, and it's the same teams. It's Wassman, it's Bossier, it's Carroll, right? And so we talk about these teams every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't say, you made this move in practice. Is that going to work against Wassman? No, so don't do it. We literally have a picture of Wassman's logo in our locker room. We talk about this team every day because, look, they've won the last 2. They've been there 11 years straight. That's who you're beating if you're going to make it happen, right? And so our kids have heard that name ad nauseum. And, I told them after the game, I said, it's time to start mentioning Bruley in that category as well. And so the fact that we played them last year and I felt we were in control of that game, we handled the pressure, I don't think there was an intimidation factor going in. I almost think it was the opposite, and they knew that their pressure wasn't going to affect us because we ended up getting easy baskets because of their pressure and being able to attack it.
We talk about this a lot, and when you talk about a team, you're trying to say, which you might get away with in weaker competition. You schedule non-district. What is your approach there? I'm just amazed by some coaches that have superior rosters who schedule so lightly.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I think you need to know your team, because when we were trying to get there, in the select, non-select area, we've had kids that have gone to Madison Prep that's leaving here. So you have to be successful the day of winning 5 games and having your parents buy in that you're on the way is non-existent. It's a win now deal at all levels. But I think you need to know your team, and when you have a team that you think's ready to compete, I definitely think you have to have those games. Look, we had 5 losses this year. The first one came to McDonough 35, who is a really good team. We were winning that game by 5 with 40 seconds left. We lost in overtime. But Rylan Johnson, our point guard, who is probably the catalyst of our team, played football for the first time this year as a senior. And we played without him in that game. And if we have him, we don't lose that game because the ball's in his hands. our second loss was to Washington Marion. They had a shot up at the buzzer to beat Peabody in the semis, and Peabody blew out Northside in the finals. Our third loss came to Marksville, who won the Division III and beat Madison pretty bad. Our fourth loss came to Northwest by 2, who we beat in the semis. And then our fifth loss came to McKinley in district. And at the time, I thought it was a bad loss. But McKinley's McKinley. And then when you look, they lose to Madison Prep in overtime in a game they should have won in regulation at the free throw line. You know, we didn't lose to anybody that wasn't in the Cajun Dome. The Burton Coliseum, or that was on the cusp of it.
First title for Bruley since 1984. I know it was your 7th year or so. We talk a lot of NIL and rev share. Obviously, there's none of that, in high school and whatnot. But how has building a program at the high school level, is it the same as it was when you first started, or is it a little different now?
It is totally different. The kids are different. The skill sets are different. We started with skill development when this senior group was in the 2nd grade. And, today, if you can't handle the ball, you can't play. And you look at what's going on in the NBA. I mean, Jokic is running the point at 7, whatever, and he's the MVP of the league. And so our big, Ben Radford, was our point guard, especially when we seen pressure because their big couldn't handle him as a guard. If you can't score, you can't play. Everything now is teaching them how to play, not necessarily running as many sets, and we have our sets that we run, but it's more in a situation when our best players hadn't shot the ball in a couple of possessions, right? Everything's 5 out these days. You're teaching them how to read and react off what the defense is doing, and it's spacing. That I heard, we had people that hit me up after the night and said, "Man, Radford was dominating the post. Why didn't you just put him, keep feeding him on the block?" Well, the game plan was to bring their big away because Ben was a much better guy attacking that guy off the rim, because if we put him on the block, we eat up space for our guards and clog up the lane. So the game has changed a ton, and your practice has changed. I mean, 80% of our practices are skill development today, and so all that has changed, and the AAU has really changed basketball at the highest level for the good, at the lowest level, I think not so much for the good. But you have to skill the kids. To me, the days of playing in the 40s and 50s, these kids are going to go somewhere where they can put up the shots that they're looking for.
So getting back to, and to talk about sharing athletes for different sports, and so many are trying to specialize in one because a lot of kids are doing that. But how did that conversation go where you start, like you said, you've been pointing to this season for so long, and he's going to go play football. But then in a sense, when he came back, it might have taken him a little bit to get in basketball shape, but he probably played through contact a little bit better.
Yeah, and look, I was a high school quarterback at Thibodeau. I played at Thibodeau. I played basketball, baseball. Believe it or not, crazy story, I was also in the band. And my mom used to make me march with the band with my tuba on at halftime of a football game as I'm the high school quarterback.
That's kind of hard.
And Glenn Haydell, who became the principal at Thibodeau forever, and he just retired a couple of years ago, was our offensive coordinator. And he used to go round and round with my mom, and she said, "Hey, if he don't march with that band, he's not playing in the second half." So, look,
that Lario was gone by then.
We won the first 5A state championship with Lario, and Gary Burnett, who passed away a couple of years ago, was our head coach. Brad Villavasso was in there as well. But look, I played baseball. I did it all. My son, who's now on our staff, was all-state football player and basketball player at Bruley. I don't like the specialized. I think that's where a lot of these injuries are coming in, especially in the baseball, softball world, because these kids are overused, and that's just an opinion. But I was the one that convinced Ryland that he needed to go play football because, look, I coached Tracy Port and Andre Howe at Port Allen High, and Tracy didn't play football until his senior year. And Tracy was a really good basketball player, had a UNO offer, but he was an NFL football player. And Andre Howe, the same thing, great high school basketball player. This kid played for the Houston Texans, and I told Ryland, man, at 5'7", it's going to be hard to get you at the next level basketball, but there's some 5'7" corners,
My dad had that conversation with plenty of his players because his coach in high school had the same conversation with him. Said, "Oh yeah, you're scoring 30 a game. You think you're good, but you're 5'9", and nah, you're not going to play big time college basketball." Coach, congratulations, man. I can see your pride, and you should be proud, man. That's a hell of a run over some teams that, that make a living camping out in Burton Coliseum. So state champions and 45-38 in the finals, 72-56 in the semifinals, and 29-point lead down to 4. We're going to have to talk, all right?
And real quick, if I can, I'm just so proud of our community.
Good, yeah.
We have one of the unique situations in sports. When we have a football game, this place shuts down. There's a huge tailgate that goes on. And Ryder Seminole, here, walk-ons, I get to my phone and it was flooded, and I get to Ryder, and he's sending me video after video. This place was absolutely electric while we're winning. We put on a great show in Lake Charles, huge fan base there. But there was a standing room only in here, and they are cheering. I think Ryder told me, he said it was louder than when LSU women's basketball won the national championship. So thank you very much. Thank you guys for having us.
Head coach, Bruley head basketball coach, state champion Kirby Loop with us. Thank you, Coach.
Yes,
Good
sir.
luck to you moving forward. We'll take a time out. We're live at lunch, live at Walk-Ons in Bruley. Again, where it was popping, man, for the state championship win over Wasserman. We'll be back after this on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And we return here at the Bruley. Walk-Ons come by and see us for lunch or for any of the NCAA tournament games coming up starting tomorrow night with the first 4. Watch them here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. LSU drops 2 out of 3 against Vanderbilt in Nashville over the weekend. Let's just get this out of the way right off the bat. There's a lot of season left, and there's a ton of potential here, and you got a great coach, you got a great staff, a lot of talent. There's a lot of things that can happen. But if they are going to walk a batter an inning, this is going to be a tough road to hoe, and that's what they did this weekend. In fact, when you add in the hit batsman, it's better than one free pass an inning. So we can talk about defense, and they've got problems defensively, and we can talk about how the offense will go into a funk from time to time, and that has happened too. But there ain't no way around this. If you are now through 21 games and you are still walking a batter every other inning, that's across the staff, and there's almost nobody that's been immune to this. If that's going to be the case, this is going to be almost impossible to get out of. Now, the good news is that I think that they've got the potential to do that. To me, the 3 toughest ways to lose a ball game, the toughest way to lose a ball game is when you're 1 out away. When you are 1 out, you make this out, and you win the ball game, and they beat you and they walk you off. That's the toughest way to lose a ball game, in my opinion. The second toughest way to lose a ball game is if you have a big lead, a 5-run lead or more. You feel like, I got a 5-run lead, man. I need to be able to hold that. And then I think the third toughest way to lose a ball game is to just get blown out, just to go out and get the doors blown off of you, and there's no coming back from it. You almost get run ruled. Well, they lost the first way on Friday night. They're 1 out away. In fact, they're 1 pitch away, and Vanderbilt walks them off. And then they get blown out on Saturday. Now, it didn't happen until the middle innings, but they get blown out. They're on the verge of getting run ruled. And they are staring the third one in the face on Sunday. They're up 6-0. They were up 4-0 before William Schmidt even had to go out there and throw a pitch. Now, it's a little bit misleading because it was a lot more of, I want to give Aaron Beatty gets credit for getting the big double in the first inning. But Nate Taylor went out there and walked 2, balked them over, and then there was a wild pitch to come home before LSU's really even got to swing the bat. So a little bit of that was given, and then they took advantage of it. So all of that to tell you that LSU, when you get to the 7th inning yesterday and you had a 6-0 lead and you end up looking at a tie ball game in the 7th, and you're on the verge of getting swept. If you blow this lead, you're going to get swept. And 1-2 feels so much different than 0-3. I'm sorry, it just does. I get it. It counts one, just like the other 29 games on the SEC schedule. But 0-3 is a heck of a kick in the teeth to start the season. So they go to the 7th yesterday, tied up after having led that game 6-0. Felt pretty good about the comeback that they put together yesterday. And Santiago Garcia came in and got a couple of key outs. And Devin Sheeran wasn't as at the top of his game, but he held him down there, and the bats, got going there. And Jake Brown, who is having an All-American, not an All-Conference, but an All-American type first half of the season, he hits one straightaway center field for a 3-run homer, and LSU opens back up, and then they pound on the Vanderbilt bullpen to get away in this game. But that's the good news, is that they didn't back down when they faced some adversity on Sunday. The one Friday night was tough. I mean, you're right there to win the Friday night game after you walk 11 guys in the first 4 innings. And you still got, not only do you have a chance, you take the lead to the 9th inning, and you got your guy out there. And, well, you know what? Vanderbilt gets a pitch they can handle, and they hit it out of the park. We talked a little bit on Friday about how this is much more of a power-hitting Vanderbilt team than some of the ones in the past. And they don't maybe have that big David Price or, Tyler Beatty, those guys up at the top of the rotation, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter. But what they've got is a team that hits a lot more than some of those, even those championship Vanderbilt teams do in the power department. LSU's got to work on some things defensively. I think specifically behind the plate. I'm beginning to wonder how much the pitchers, or something we talked about in the podcast today, the podcast will drop this afternoon, how much the pitchers are affected by balls that are not being blocked, or just there are times where they get crossed up where it's almost like they're expecting a fastball away, and the fastball comes back on the inside corner, and, it's really tough to catch when you got that kind of velocity. And, the number of guys in the lineup that are hitting is not what you'd like it to be, but you talked about all of the angst offensively that LSU's had going the last 2 weeks. They scored 12 runs on Friday night. They scored 16 runs on Sunday. Vanderbilt helped a little bit. They walked a whole bunch of guys too, but at least they got the bats going a little bit. There's a ways to go, man. Right now, I can't put it any different than you are just walking too many damn people. And there's no defense to that. You walk a guy, he's going down to first base. You just don't give yourself not much of a chance if you're going to walk that many. So that's where they're at right now. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of talent out there, but right now they're just walking too many people. That's my one-line synopsis of 3 games.
You're right about that. I will say you brought up a good point with the catching. Defensively isn't good enough. They're losing some strikes too on framing. They're not the best framing behind the plate either.
There's a miscommunication at times. It appears to me. Okay, and we talked about this. Dan Canavery's coached pitchers. For his entire life. He was talking about this on the podcast. How you can see sometimes they are set up outside, and that this is what they're expecting. And then you got a guy trying to reach back across his body to get a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and guess what? That's not working. And I wonder how much that's getting into the heads of the pitchers a little bit. Last year they started out slow defensively behind the plate. Luis Hernandez had spent 99% of the prior year as a first baseman. He grew into it, and by the end of the year, he was a pretty good defensive catcher. I look at Cade Arambidi, and I see an athletic kid, a big kid, that when he's doing well, he's like a hockey goalie. He can block a lot of balls. But right now, the technique needs some work, and I know that they are working a lot overtime with that. They have to, because I think that's one of the things that is plaguing them right now. Good to get one, man. If they'd have dropped that one yesterday, that would have been about as tough a mental barrier to overcome. If you open up 0-3, you lose on the last pitch of the game, you get blown out, and then you blow a 6-run lead, that would have been pretty terrible.
Sounds like your highest priced pitcher is emerging as your strongest one, too.
I think that William Schmidt is their best pitcher right now,
And I want to, because the conditions also made it much more difficult to pitch on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, the conditions were, it was a Wrigley Field wind blowing out type of day.
Yeah.
I mean, you 26 runs, 25 runs total?
25, yeah.
25 total. I mean, so.
And Schmidt left early with some back tightness. Jay Johnson's quote was pretty telling. He said, this guy's the most important person in my life for the next 18 months. I'm not taking any chances with him.
Run it by his wife?
I'll let him have that conversation. But, no, I think Schmidt is their best guy. And I think, there's going to be a conversation that has to be had here probably pretty soon about are you going to move some things around as far as the
different
order?
Approach. They certainly there's a different lineup once he got out of the game yesterday. I mean, I know the Vandy hitters were pleased that he was out of the game.
Oh, yeah. And the biggest thing he's done, again, not to belabor the point, was he's cut down on his walks. Last year, he had 11 walks in only 2 SEC innings. Well, coming into this game, in 4 weeks, he had 4 walks.
He's a completely different pitcher from last year.
Yes, he is, and it's a lot more strikes. Now, he did walk 3 yesterday, but the strikeouts were working. And if he was at 84 pitches, if the back doesn't tighten up on him, he probably gets them into the 6th. And that's what you're asking out of starting pitchers. You get me into the 6th inning. I'm gonna have to be okay with that. I'm not getting a whole lot of guys into the 8th inning, but if you can get me into the 6th, we're okay. And he pitched really well. His line score probably looks a little bit worse because Rizzi came in and got hit pretty hard. Gave up the 3 doubles after that. So Tigers with 9 straight home games starting tomorrow night. 2 SEC series plus 3 midweek games. So they're going to be at the box a little while, try and work this thing out.
Imagine what this team would look like without Jake Brown. 11 homers in 21 games. He's been the one guy you can't really complain about him. Everybody else you could kind of poke some holes in. But
no, it's an All-American type year through 20 plus games here. Tell you what though, I thought he caught a break on the catch yesterday in right. Jimmy, we remember the very famous play in the '96 championship game where Chad Cooley had the ball in his glove, came out of his glove, and they allowed the runs to score. So you got to take it out of your glove. I thought they were going to get Brown for the same thing yesterday because while he had the ball, but that it did not come out of his glove voluntarily. Okay, he didn't reach in. That was the rule. I remember it vividly. The Warren Morris game, they distributed the rule in the press box. Everybody's like, "You have to take the ball out of your glove." Okay, well, they didn't give it. They didn't give that call to Cooley. Brown got the call yesterday, which is advantageous.
Learning experience. Won't do that again. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, he's hustling. I mean, he's got to come in and slide. It's not an easy catch at all.
No.
But hey, you catch a break. Good for you. We're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store and the Pierre Part Store, also open in Lockport and in LaRose. Jimmy, what you like when you do your crawfish? You like clean crawfish?
Yes. I cannot stand with the people who boil crawfish that don't clean them properly.
Well, the crawfish washers are in. The red ones, the blue ones, and the purple ones for different varying degrees. You can pick them up at all of the locations of the Thibodeau Store. 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau in Pierre Part. It's on Highway 70 in Lockport, on Highway 308, and in LaRose on Main Street. Do-it-yourselfers, get some advice, save some time and money. Use the experts at these properties. They'll be able to walk you through some of these home improvement projects that will save you some money. Big-time savings right now on lawn and garden tools as we head into the spring. Also, deals on your Milwaukee tools and your DeWalt tools on the website right now. Same day pickup on the website and delivery available on some of these items at thethibodeaustore.com.
Crawfish are beautiful right now.
Yeah, you got
beautiful.
you got a shot. So pick up your crawfish washers at the Thibodeau store. Live at lunch from the Walk-Ons in Bruley, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here in Bruley, live at lunch, NCAA tournament week. Jimmy, when you take a look at the whole bracket, we thought the committee did a pretty good job. The top seeds were set. There wasn't a whole lot of angst about the last 3 or 4 teams that got out. So now that we got that part done.
I think Joe Lenardi was 100%.
He got them all.
Yeah, I mean it was very little surprise in, the bubble. I just think it's interesting because it's a lot of people are kind of there's a big gap between the 1 seeds and everybody else, and it was chalk dominated last year, and one year sample size. Okay, we'll see, but we all know that. The mid-majors have been weakened considerably, and it's we in football we say Power 4, and then what we say in basketball Power 5. I think the Big East is closer to they might be right in between. They are slipping, as far as toward the mid-majors, because in January we're like, man, that's like 15 teams that can win it all. So are we ready to say that Iowa State's not capable of winning it all, or an Arkansas, or a Gonzaga, or BYU, Virginia? So these Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois.
If you're going to get out of the top 3, you're going to get out.
Michigan State,
St. John's, Connecticut.
Well, you get out of the top 3 seeds and you say, okay, can somebody come from off the beaten path? And I'm looking at a couple of these games.
No, I'm just looking past the 1 seed.
Just past the 1 seed. Okay. When I'm looking at brackets, it's those middle seeds. Is there a middle seed that can make some noise? For instance, I'm looking at 2 potential second-round matchups. One of them is St. John's in Kansas, okay, which I think has got the potential to be a terrific game. And then the other one is Wisconsin and Arkansas. Arkansas is smoking hot right now. Wisconsin, we've seen them beat every team in the Big Ten, okay? So we know that they're capable. And, well, they, buzzer beater to knock them out on Saturday.
Even their first game against High Point, they didn't average more than anybody. They were 5th, but they scored more points than anybody in college basketball. That High Point, Wisconsin is going to be up in that 164.5. I think is light for that total.
So whoever gets out of those 2 matchups, those 4 or 5, is going to be in the second weekend. Well, then you got to look at them and say, all right, they got a shot. If they can win the first 2, they're good enough to win the second 2 on the right night. Kansas can beat Duke on the right night. I think that
so.
On the right night.
See,
they're not going to be favored,
they're
but
not
on the
going to
right
play
night.
in Fog Allen. So
no,
I don't think they can, Charlie. And the thing about Duke and Michigan that make them really tough is that the strength of their team is their defense. Yep. And they are number 1 and number 2 in all of the defensive metrics. And man, that's what and wonder if Shire's just more of a commitment to the defensive end than Coach K was, because Alabama set a record when scoring points against BYU, and man, Duke defended the heck out of them in that regional final last year. I mean, it was a different deal. So I just think when you bring that part of it, because you can control that. That's controllable from one game to the next. That perimeter shooting is going to come and go. So can you win games when that shot's not falling? Do you get to the rim enough? Do you get to the line enough? And do you defend enough? And I'm a little worried about, is Arkansas getting a little too comfortable with shooting over 60% from 3? You know what I mean? Because Arkansas, if that second round game, they are going to get up and down. Who they got in the second round again?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, those 2 are going to
You know, my big problem with
the willing participants to run up and down.
The winner of that game would most likely end up against Arizona, who is my pick to win the whole thing. Because when you look at what Arizona has done over the last month,
they're a heck of a defensive team, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, the last 6 games of the regular season, they haven't lost since the middle of February. They've only lost 2 games the whole year. They beat BYU handily. They beat Kansas handily. They beat Houston at Houston by 7, which is not an easy thing to do.
That was a terrible spot for Arizona, too. And they still, gate to wire. And it wasn't that competitive.
They beat Iowa State by 16 at the end of the regular season, and then came back on back-to-back nights and beat Iowa State and Houston to win the Big 12 tournament. Man, you can't not be impressed by that run. And they've been good all year. They lost the 2 games in a row. They lost a game to at Fog Allen, and then they lost to Texas Tech, which was it's kind of a screwy game because I believe that was the first game that Topham missed when they played Arizona when Texas Tech beat them.
No,
he was still playing. That was that overtime game.
No. When Texas Tech beat Iowa State without this, they didn't beat both of them.
Okay.
No, Topham was big in that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
The amount of wins that they have that are against top flight teams, they're really good.
They're good, and I mean, people say, "Well, man, we don't know about their guards because they don't shoot a ton of threes." Well, that even makes makes them less reliant on threes. I mean, if you're like Alabama, it's just, can they get to a Final Four? But can they get 6 games in a row where they're going to be hot from 3? They take so many.
That's a lot.
You know, maybe a first-round game. Maybe 5 against quality teams. I mean, these teams at the top, are just do different things, man. Defensively, attack the rim, that you can have pretty much game in and game out. Another team we didn't even mention as far as, can they compete? And where all these teams like Duke and Michigan and Arizona playing really tough defense, Houston's defense is just not the same. It's just not the same. It's not as suffocating. He's got 2 true freshmen starting. They're both very good. Fleming's probably be a lottery pick, and Sinak is going to be, if not, just outside a lottery pick.
Yeah, I think he's probably closer to a lottery pick. Duke, Michigan, and Arizona, the 3 top teams as far as Q1 wins, and it's by a substantial margin. It drops down to Florida.
So Max, you see, we're saying like what has shifted, where we forgot basically those 5 to 16 teams that we were so high on a month and a half ago, that we've kind of we're just watching chalk. Think it's just going to be 4 number ones again.
Yeah, I'm starting to go back to kind of thinking we'll see some of the outliers a little bit more. We saw some teams down the stretch that were kind of sliding that started playing better again. Purdue and Michigan State, I consider those. I still think Illinois has quite a chance, but yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. I don't. Duke, Arizona, and Michigan seem so separate, and I guess Florida's. It kind of seems like they're 4 clear 1 seeds, and there were. I wouldn't put Houston anywhere near those teams, but I will say, just looking at Duke's region, their region of the bracket, they've just got so many like big brand name schools in their bracket. They got to be a little bit underwhelmed with who they got.
They kept the 2 seeds. They kept Houston, and Houston, some kind of way they're eligible to play there because they declined to be the host of the regional. So Texas Southern is actually the official regional. They could not have played there. So they left that option open for them. So you play in your hometown. But
it's like having a road gymnastics meet in the Centraplex, right?
Yes, you're playing Fertitta, but the odds makers think it's going to be more chalk, or the odds makers are shifting the lines because 14 double-digit lines in the first 2 days. Now, I'm including the 1/16s that we'll have, that those lines aren't there yet. So 16 and 2. So 14 to 18 double digits. The average spread last year in those games was 19.5. The average spread with 4 more games, because those lines are going to be right at 30, okay, because they were all last year. It's 24. 4.5 points average more. That's a significant jump up, and that's including even more with the with 18 double-digit
I just
seeds.
think we might see a little bit of a correction against the number that you've seen that. There's not a single one of the bottom 4 seeds that is a single-digit favorite. It's first time, or single-digit dog. First time ever since the expansion of the tournament. So all these spreads for these top seeds,
13 to 16.
these are 1 to 4 seeds in the first round. They're all massive favorites.
Yeah.
Normally you see at least 1 or 2 that's supposed to be a little bit tighter. The single-digit spread, we're not seeing that this year. I'm not saying we're going to see a bunch of upsets, but at least against the number, I think we'll see some dogs.
Well, that's where your weaker mid-majors, are in there as well. So
Here at Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The LSU women's basketball team got the number 2 seed that they expected. They will play on Friday at 5 o'clock against Jacksonville. Texas Tech and Villanova also in that sub-regional. They are in the UCLA bracket, which is Sacramento. As you move forward, so the highest seeding that Kim Mulkey has had since she has been here, and the highest that they've had since 2008. Justin Fields is on the move. He's going to Kansas City.
I want to throw a shout-out to Danny Bryan, too, and his men's tennis team, who beat Oklahoma in a close one on Friday and lost a tough one yesterday to Texas A&M, top 10. It's the highest level of tennis I've seen in that facility yesterday, and it's the biggest crowd I've ever seen in that facility yesterday. I mean, the bleachers are full. The VIP area is full. About 100 people, standing room only. It's an awesome atmosphere for some great tennis, man. It's free. Go check it out. It's really, really good stuff. Both the men and the women are really having fun seasons in tennis.
And they got a good bit of season left, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot that you can still go out there and see. Thanks to our friends here at Bruley. How cool was it to have that championship here and the community to celebrate it? That was really cool to watch the videos.
Thanks, Coach Kirby Loop, for coming by and spending some time with us today, man. Yeah, he's excited. So, it's fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. And so that's where, again, all of the different walk-ons, whether you're in Prairieville or you're over here, like the Prairie Gonzales one has a lot of the Ascension Parish. Athletic greats with their wall, and they have over here the West Side, and so guys like Randall Gay and Tracy Porter. So kind of cool, man. Ryder shared the video with me.
Might be time to update that wall a little bit. I don't know. We got another title now.
There you go. First one in the schools. How long?
42 years.
Cool.
Since the 80s.
Thanks to Ryder and the guys here at Walk-Ons. Tomorrow we are at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street. For Max, for Jimmy, for Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Henniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.